probably wrong about this, so let me start there. But I think a lot of people chase comfort thinking that comfort will lead to happiness, and my opinion is that comfort is a byproduct of happiness. Comfort comes once you're happy and is more likely to come once you're happy rather than the other way around. At least for me anyway. It is a beautiful spring day in Minnesota today. It's probably the second or third spring day that we've actually had. Oskar and I are hanging out, mostly because I got my motorcycle back and I got the tank on, and I'm gonna take it for a ride a bit later, I think in this video, assuming all goes well with the weather and the timeline of everything that I got going on today. But yeah, I'm taking Oskar, so then Chris can kind of get her stuff done, and then a bit later I'll be able to leave him with her, and then I can go on a motorcycle ride and feel good about it. But the motorcycle looks so cool. I can't wait to show y'all, to be honest. But beautiful spring day. Got a bit of stuff going on, but I'll say it's a lazy Sunday, and I'm feeling good about it. Being here is making me realize how much I gotta get good with Oskar being in the water and having really good recall, because right now he does not have great recall. It's pretty good, but not enough that I would trust him to jump in here and not just like swim to the other side, you know? But yeah, to me, happiness and it's like about fulfillment, right? And I think I'm the most satisfied when I'm in the pursuit of something that is very, difficult, or, seems far off, or just requires an immense amount of effort. That's just where I'm the most at peace. I get into a flow state, or even not a flow state, right? Sometimes it's quite the opposite. Sometimes you feel like you're banging your head against the wall. But that progressive improvement is, to me, where I feel the most enriched. So I know that this might be a bit unusual, and a lot of people might not necessarily identify with this or really even understand where I'm coming from. But I know there are people out there, because I've met people like this, and specifically there are some people on my team who feel this way, and there are others who maybe don't. But I often tell people that I'm a workhorse, right? If you think about how there are dog breeds, there are horse breeds, I'm sure there are all sorts of animal breeds, but where they want a task, right? They want to be doing something, and that's when they're most satisfied. Oskar is definitely that way. That's partly why we go on these little adventures, because he really seems to enjoy all right, cool, we were there, we hop back in, hop back in the truck, and we're back to, our next spot. And he likes to see kind of the world change around him. It seems, anyway. Of course, I'm anthropomorphizing there a little bit, but I tell people I'm like a workhorse, and I say, give me a task, and that's when I'll be the happiest. And maybe this actually says a little bit more about me and my inability to quote unquote, actually just enjoy myself like some people would in certain situations. Put me in a room full of people, or my only job is just to schmooze. That's not enough of a task, right? Put me in a room where I'm teaching, where I'm giving a presentation of some sort, where, for example, playing music. I was really quite comfortable there because I felt like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? There's a thing that I've been working toward, I'm working toward it now, and this is the culmination of that. Whereas more, loose, just schmooze and meet people, boy, that I'm not very good at it, and I'm not sure why. Go on vacation, and like coming up, we have our wedding and then our honeymoon. I very much prefer a trip or a vacation where we have multiple destinations and it feels like we are making progress, right? Because we literally are making progress in the overall route of things. But a vacation where I'm just laying on a beach, for example, I don't feel comfortable. What's interesting is that calmness, that stillness, doesn't make me feel calm necessarily. It makes me feel like I'm like wasting my time. And on the one hand, maybe I should figure out how to enjoy that. But on the other hand, I'm really glad that I've discovered this about myself, and I'm perfectly okay with it. Just knowing like when I am trying to enjoy myself, I'm going to do my best when we're making progress and we're working toward a greater agenda. And now I can't help but think about times in my past where I've used work as a distraction. But honestly, is that a terrible thing? I'm not sure. I suppose it depends on what you're distracting yourself from. If it's a distraction to stop you from improving yourself in your life, then maybe it is bad. But for me, it's always been, if I'm in the middle of a situation that I don't want to be in, I'll work, right? I'll work harder. I think there's a character in the book Animal Farm. I forget the name of the character, but he's like a workhorse or something like that. And he just says, the refrain that he says over and over again is, I will work harder, right? Where maybe there are not problems that can be solved necessarily by working harder, but that's the angle that character takes every time. And so I think that's kind of always been my approach. That said, I've learned to love it, right? I've learned to love the process. I've learned to love the feeling of being in the middle of something, or really being even at the beginning of something or the first quarter of it, and trying to continue to push really, really hard to get through it, right? To get past the difficult part, even though it's kind of sometimes always the difficult part. And obviously I'm not a therapist, and this is not, advice or anything like that, but I have noticed that I'm very consistently kind of in the best place mentally when there is opportunity ahead of me, right? Even if that's an opportunity that I created or hallucinated almost, right? Where I have this notion that if I can figure out X, Y, or Z, that I will be able to do more. I will have more opportunity. There will be cool things coming up in my life. I'll be able to travel more, right? And I'll be able to give my fiance a better life, right? I'll be able to give Oskar a cooler life and all that stuff. So, yeah. that I was just doing the whole day on the motorcycle, but obviously I have Oscar with me. Maybe I should get a sidecar. That seems like a totally logical next purchase.